This is the Best Man Pod where Joe and Dave are about to talk about the worst places you can possibly be sober.
Hold on, before we start this, have you found, since you've become a father, that you've found more places that suck being sober than before you were a father? Because I feel like a lot of this has to do with you, like taking the kids places.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm just
I'm not
saying.
gonna get, but like, even before that, I'm not gonna get shit canned at the zoo. But like,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
they
need,
sell beer at the zoo.
I'm gonna need a beer because like they're tweaking me out. These people are tweaking me out. Like, I need to not cuss somebody out. But I don't know if I want to like tell people like in the world that like, hey, I need a fucking drink to not cuss somebody out. But like,
All right, so you're going first. Number
don't
one,
suck,
zoo.
don't suck.
I think you just said your first one.
I got three. Like,
Okay.
you want to do three again?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right.
Is
So welcome to the
your
best.
number three? You don't have to redo the intro. It's only a minute in. I'm just saying, so is number three the zoo? Or is that your number one?
Uh, this used to be the Best Man Pod. Like,
Oh, what I miss? Joe's saying I'm not his best man anymore. Bummer.
so it wasn't my three. I was gonna put amusement parks and zoos together. Like, I'm not a fan of like just large groups of people getting in lines together. Like,
Hmm. I get that.
there's a lot of other things I'd rather do than that. And
Yeah.
doing that sober with kids is even further on the list. And like the zoo, we can figure out. Like, we went to the zoo and it was like me, my brothers, my sister in law, their kids, our kids, Jeremy. Like, there was enough adults around in the group to where we could manage all the kids and like get through. And if you make it through our gaggle of people of going the wrong way on a path, like, you're gonna get like a shitty look from seven people before you make it through all of us. But like, man, like, I put in our notes to talk about like rules of the road, but like when you're walking on a sidewalk and you're on the left side of the sidewalk, walking up with your cart and all your bags, getting pissed at bumping into people, like, this is a you problem. It's not us. And like, that was the frustrating part. And like, the people watching and all that stuff, like, I'm trying to watch my kids, like, to make sure they aren't running away. And like, we have a whole Harambe 2 situation going on. And you're looking at me because whatever reason, like, your kid smells like shit. I don't fucking know. Like, you're looking at me all wrong. Like, it, it's frustrating. And like,
Yeah. Yeah, I can
a,
imagine.
a couple beers goes a long way there.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm glad zoos sell beer. But I get trying to
Hmm.
be sober. Obviously, you got to take care of your kids. Would that be number three? Is those two together?
Yeah, I'll do amusement parks and zoos.
Okay, cool. So I guess for my number three, man, there's so many good ones. Uh, um, I would say number three for me is any wedding ever.
Yeah.
Yep. So
First question you ask at any wedding:
yeah, yeah.
open
I
bar,
mean,
cash
yeah,
bar.
yeah. Some kind of place to get a drink and like, because normally it's really stupid, but this is just the way that humanity works from my experience anyway. Is that there's always cliques at weddings.
Mm-hmm.
There's always jealousy in ways it shouldn't be,
Mm-hmm.
um, male and female, and it's just usually a chaotic mess. Somebody breaks down, somebody gets real emotional and cries, or there's a fight, or there's family drama, or something wrong with the wedding, like the food is wrong, or something happens at the venue that you're at, or whatever. So that's one of the worst places to be sober, in my opinion, is
But
any
like,
wedding. But I've been to some cool weddings sober. I have, uh, like my buddy Gabe from Whitechapel. He's no longer with her, but their wedding was sick. It was at this really really cool, um, like barn on this farm, and it was so legit looking. Like, spent way too much money on this property, right? But it was only for weddings. So the bridal party actually stayed in this mansion on the property. So the whole property was rented out for it, not just the barn. Um,
That's sick.
and the original barn that they used was actually just for the cocktail hour after the first part of the wedding. So the first part of the wedding, they like introduced certain people, and there wasn't actually a ceremony or whatever. And then they were like, "All right, we're getting things ready. Go have a cocktail hour in this barn." It was just like open bar, like 4 different setups. Perfect.
Yeah.
Little snacks in the middle. Then they did the ceremony. Then we went and had like the actual reception, and then they had a dance floor. And when they did the cake, because they were partners with Donuts and Deadlifts, I'm pretty sure, or at least the wife was. So they had like a cake in the middle, and then just like giant shelves full of all the donuts you could think of. It was so sick. And then after the wedding was done, the regular food was served, and like all that shit, they actually had pizza that they cooked on the like these smoker grills. So it was like smoked pizza.
Like, I've been to
It was
some
insane.
really wild weddings, but like the most difficult ones are like the people getting married drink, the one side drinks, but this one side doesn't, and it makes it really fucking awkward. And like
What are we talking
we're
about,
having
Joe?
a wedding, we're getting but no, like your wedding, like the
That happened.
Dave's first one, but like there was no alcohol being sold there. Like some
Right.
people were drinking, like, but it wasn't like. But if you're having a open bar, cat or cash bar, and one side doesn't drink and one side does, like you're putting me in a situation, you're putting me in a box, and it makes me uncomfortable. And like I feel like I'm having to pick sides, and I'm not trying to do anything. I'm trying to hide in the corner. Like it's weird and it's uncomfortable. So like if you don't drink, don't put your insecurities or your frustrations on drinking on me. Let me have a good time.
100%. So you agree? That's a good one, right? Weddings. Cool.
Weddings is a great one.
That's my number 3. So what's your number 2?
Sporting events.
Fair enough.
You go to a Bengals game, you go to the Reds game, you go to whatever. And if you decide to be sober that day, like, good for you. Because there's going to be some drunk asshole that's going to make it miserable for everybody. And if you had 2 beers, that drunk asshole is now kind of funny.
Yeah. Compared to pissing you off and wanting to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of an awkward, like a funny thing is like the baseball changed some rules and games are going really fast. And baseball stadiums are losing millions of dollars in beer sales because the games are going by faster now.
I believe it.
And so, like, rather than stopping beer sales in the 7th inning, they're like pushing it to the 8th and 9th inning, or like letting you drink until the end of the game
Oh.
because they're losing so much money on beer sales because of how fast games are going now.
Yeah, but they already made too much money. Let's be honest. They made so much money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Sporting events. I agree.
What you got?
I mean, it seems like there's a trend of large gatherings, but I want to keep mine on the smaller side. So you've done mostly large gatherings with a lot of people. But
Yeah.
I think one of the one of the things that rings true for not every family, but I'll say for mine. So family reunions are something.
Oh yeah.
I would definitely say my family's reunions were always in public places. Like we would get multiple houses at the beach, and all the families would stay in like multiple houses and share houses and stuff, or at a campground. So it wasn't really like closed doors for the most part. We would do our gatherings in like some public places, church services. People would give their testimonies, very religious based. We would do worship services. There was a family reunion I remember specifically where each family had to choose a night during the week. It was like the way that they did it. It was a week or two wherever we were staying at a campground, and that family had to like do the church service. So present a testimony, what God's been speaking to them through in their recent years or whatever. And then like do songs together and all of that. That was real. So we had church services basically at our family reunions. So I would say our family reunions, and I bet some of my siblings would agree, could be some of the worst places to be sober. Hey, Jesus drank wine too, and you can still worship Jesus with a buzz. That's all I'm saying.
Hell yeah.
I'm not saying anything negative about the religious side. I'm saying that it got a little weird a couple times. Because I'm at a family reunion, it's like part of my vacation from home. I don't want to necessarily be in a church service. Just saying.
So you don't want to be sober at a family reunion. Hell yeah.
Nope. I don't think we'll ever have
Feel
them
that.
ever again. There's too many. Everybody got married and had too
So-
many kids.
Except me. My number one is kind of going in the same vein as you, kind of. Like I want to go smaller scale on
Okay.
it. Like nothing is worse than showing up with the boys and they're all drunk and you aren't.
Oh, just in general, like for anything? Going to a show, hanging out, playing poker.
Dinner, poker.
Yeah.
2, 5, 6, whatever it is. You're going to go meet up with your friends, your boys, whatever, your friend group, girls are there, whatever it is. And you show up and you're the only one sober. Like you either have to play catch up and get there quick,
Or you just leave.
or just leave.
Yeah, or not stay long. That's usually what I do.
Stay long. Because I'm like, no, stay. No. Like you have two options. Irish goodbye, get hammered quick.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Spring Valley parties then. We would all just get hammered quick if we showed up late.
Quick.
But it was because we were playing flip cup and beer pong and beer bong, and those parties were gnarly.
What about like when we lived together?
Oh yeah, of course. But
show up at the house.
That was before then, though. I'm just saying, like some of the
show up
Spring
at the
Valley
house,
parties.
and me and Jeremy are fucking shit cans sitting in the basement playing whatever knows what, and you show up and you're like, I'm either going to bed or we're getting there. Like you have two options:
Yep.
bounce or figure it out. Like,
yep.
But just hanging out sober, you're gonna get so annoyed so fast.
I think that's a perfect one, because if you're around people that are hammered or at least having a good time, right, buzzed, whatever,
yeah,
and you're not, and you're trying to get on that level, and you probably don't get there before they're done, it's a bummer.
I've done a few St. Patrick's days where like I show up like at like TJ's house and there's like 10, 15 people there, whatever it is, and like all right, like can I get 6 Heinekens and a couple shots? And they're like, right now, like, yeah, it's either this or I'm gonna leave.
Right. It's time. That's awesome.
Yeah. So what's your one?
Man, all right. So I did. Family reunions was a good one. I almost put that as my first.
Like it.
Yeah. I don't want to go too sacrilegious with it, so I won't say church, but that was on the list. Just saying.
So shout out to weddings. I don't remember the last time I was at a church sober.
There we go. I mean, a lot of weddings are at churches. That's a good call. You know, Jason doesn't watch these, but if he does, I hope he hears me say this. But do you remember how wild Kelly's Island was for a different wedding?
My first wedding?
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, your first wedding.
Yeah, like
how wild it was, even for like the pastor, which is amazing.
Oh, no. Shout out my Uncle Joe.
Oh, okay. You're cool with it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, like he
we were all doing shots at like 10 a.m. We were buzzed before we even walked up to the altar, and he stumbled over his words, and it was the best. And I totally wish it was on camera because it was a movie. I felt like I was in a movie.
So like, we'll hit on a couple of these. So like, one, we're in the parking lot pounding vodka Red Bulls. Like me, you, TJ, Jeremy,
terrible.
All the groomsmen. We're in the parking lot. Joby's there hanging out. We got it in, right?
Yeah.
And somebody's like, all right, we got to make our way down there. And Mikey Dorley was like, what do you mean we? And Joey was like, "I'm the one officiating this thing," and Mikey was like, "This is gonna be a good wedding."
I love
And
Mikey.
like he scrolled, and then scrolled, and I was like, "I think he passed. I think he's at the end." And we're 3 minutes into this, so like then he's like slurring his words, trying to find his spot again. Perfect. Second wedding, the wedding that was the last wedding I'll ever have. Perfect wedding. Whatever else I need to
Yep,
say.
yep.
Like,
It was
like
good. It was
so.
pretty. It was a pretty wedding. I will say that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
guys
yeah.
chose a really good spot.
So we walk down the aisle, and when it's all said and done, and I'm like, Uncle Joby likes to kind of pride himself on how fast he can get a wedding in and out, and like it's kind of a thing. And like even Jess was like, "Hey, like I don't give a shit about the ceremony part. Like 5, 10, 15 minutes. If it goes past 15 minutes, it's too long." And Joby was like, "Oh, cool, I got you." And I remember walking down the aisle like, shit, like Joby nailed it. Like this was fast. Like this might be his fastest one
That's
ever.
awesome.
And we're standing in the procession line saying bye to people, and somebody comes running up to me and like, "Here, put this on your hand real quick." And hands me my fucking ring, and I'm like, "He never gave us our rings. We never exchanged rings."
As long as you sign the document, it counts.
It was one of those like, but it's funny because he's done that on multiple weddings before. This wasn't the first time he forgot to do the exchange rings. Like it's fucking hilarious.
Did he do anybody else that you know, like any of your family?
My aunt Aunt Misty, for sure. And then there was one other one that he forgot as well. But like Aunt Misty, like her wedding, somebody forgot the actual rings, and so he had pulled his own wedding ring off during the ceremony, and had them put on his own wedding ring.
That's amazing. All right, so you did your top 3. I need to finish. So what was my first one? Do you remember? Because I don't. I know weddings was my second, and I joked about churches being my first.
No, weddings was your first one.
First one. Second one was family
Your
reunions.
third.
That's right.
And so now you're looking for
okay. Man, there were too many choices. But I would say you almost took what I was gonna say. Being sober, like, and showing up to a party where everybody else is already drunk, because then it's kind of lame.
Yeah.
But in that same realm, I would say when it comes to, so a specific example for my life, getting on the bus, if I'm on tour, whether I'm working or playing and working or whatever it may be, when I get to the bus and the crew members or the band members that are done before I am are already drunk, and I've been working because I have more work than they do, but we all get paid the same. You know what I mean? Or maybe they even get paid more, and they're already having a good time and doing whatever. And then by the time I get up there, I like crack a beer or I want to hang out or whatever, they either go to bed or they like get off the bus and do something else. So I'm just like by myself. That happened so many times last year because I had to tech myself when I play for Aaron. So I have to tear down my own stuff. So by the time I get to the bus, the guys that do drink, they're already toasted.
It sucks.
Yeah, it can. Or it can be funny because then I can just like try to get some of them to smoke. And then they're just like, it's bedtime. I'm like, yeah, you should go to bed. Because that usually was like, so all those guys drank way more tequila than I did. I couldn't hang and I didn't care to. Because I know not only with, us getting older, but also just in general, I got to function the next day. There would be no point in me drinking a bunch of tequila because then I'd be hungover. So I usually just would smoke with them or whatever. And then they'd always be like, man, I slept so good, Dave. And I'm like, you're welcome. Because if I didn't get it to you, you'd wake up with a hangover. But instead, you ate a bunch of snacks first and drank water and then went to bed. That's the ticket. Yeah. Anyway, okay, cool. Right, I think I was good. Yep.
3.
Okay, bye.
See you, buddy.